throughout your 7-Eleven stores. Now we go to our guest this evening. How are you? I haven't seen you in a week. After we beat up all the bankers last week, we attacked and gave it to them. Are we going to do that again?
We're still here.
Yeah?
What can I say?
Well, maybe they haven't found us yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe, we fly below the radar. We're a little small,
Really?
we're local, small town.
You haven't seen me on Facebook, obviously.
Really? Mm-mm. Okay, so I should stay away from you, right?
You'd be proud to be associated with me.
Oh,
Mr.
my
Mayor.
God. I don't know. We are here with one of Central Florida's top attorneys in family law, probably one of the top 5 in Central Florida, a young woman called Marivette Gonzalez. Marivette has her own law firm, the law firm of Marivette Gonzalez, and she handles family law, which includes divorce, paternity cases, custody issues, child support, name changes, in case you're a criminal and you want to get out of town and you want to change your name, and stuff like that. Hi, how are you, Marivette? ¿Cómo estamos?
Estoy de lo más bien.
Really?
Perfecto.
How did you get in? Why did you get into law? And why did you get into family law? Why did you pick that strength?
Well, at first I wanted to get into criminal law because I saw all the injustices happening and I wanted to be involved in the criminal justice system. So that was my undergrad major, and then I became probation officer. And actually,
you were a probation officer?
Yes, but actually, in defense of me, because I know what you're going to say, in defense of me, instead of putting the probationers in jail, I had the highest compliance rate, which means I would help them get through the system.
Listen, I put them in jail. As far as I'm concerned, lock them up. If they do something wrong, throw away the key,
That's right.
But how did you get into probation? I mean, what was that? Was that something that you did in planning your career for experience, or was that something that you did in order to make money, to get yourself through college? How did that work out?
Actually, being a probation officer is a combination of being an attorney, a counselor, and law enforcement.
Okay.
So that actually gave me a little bit more perspective of why I wanted to become an attorney. I was always out on the field checking the probationers. I was in the jail. I was also counseling them and checking the conditions, but I was also always in court testifying with regards to whatever.
What kind of probation people did you handle? I mean, was it like family things, or was it people that sold drugs? In other words, you're an attractive woman, so it's kind of probation seems to be out of place.
It would be possession of marijuana, less than 20, of course. There was misdemeanor probation, battery, domestic violence, and injunctions, violations of injunctions, DUIs, driving with license suspended, petty theft, anything.
And how long did you do that for?
I did that for 5 years.
And then was that when you were going to law school, or after you finished?
Actually, that was before law school, and then I did the pilot program for Seminole County for the impact program for the GPS monitors before they existed. So I did that pilot program for high-risk offenders to bring some of those monitoring system into the county. Okay. And then when I left, another probation officer took over that department.
Okay. When did you start law school?
Law school in 2004.
You're that old, huh?
I don't know.
She's a baby.
Actually, that's the downside. Some people say I look younger than what I am, so they underestimate me, which is good in my personal life, but with regards to my professional life, me being an attorney
so
is
you're
my
like
second
60
career.
years old?
No. I'm in my 30s.
Okay.
Yeah. Still a baby.
Tell us, what kind of cases do you handle? Like what is, in divorce, let's say, what happens? What is the procedure when two people want to be divorced? What do you suggest to people out there who are looking to break up with their significant other? What's the first move they make?
I'm suggesting if you're cheating, don't do it with your credit cards. No, I'm just playing.
I like that.
Perfect.
Sorry. The process usually there's the thing called financial discovery. That's why I said that. There's mandatory discovery, so there's a lot of information that you should gather before or during the first week when you meet an attorney. When you meet an attorney, you want to make sure that you know what questions to ask, because a lot of people go to consultations and they sit there and then they call me after they leave because that's when they think of all the questions. So I would suggest that anyone that's thinking of a divorce, think of the 5 most important things that you want to get out of the divorce and speak to that attorney. And the most important topic that usually comes up is the children. People usually come into my office with, I want sole custody of my children. Or the flip side to that is they're afraid or they come crying because they think the other person is going to take away their custody. Well, the word custody is not used in the state of Florida anymore. The state, what they do is they determine their parental rights and time sharing. And parental rights basically is who makes the decisions for that child's life. And time sharing is basically that, a schedule. What is going to be the schedule? If you want parental responsibility, sole parental responsibility, you have the burden of proving that the other parent is unfit to be a parent. So it's a high burden. So sometimes I have two good parents and I ask them as an attorney, okay, I understand that you want sole parental responsibility, but what has the other parent done wrong? Or is there any child abuse or neglect? And they have nothing. It's just a tug of war with the children.
Which I think is the worst approach that you can take, because they both deserve to have both parents. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, and I think it's hard because the women, and now more women are working, but the women are, when I'm speaking to the women, it's harder to explain to them that the father has a right to see their children, especially when they say, well, how can I get sole custody? And I start asking them, well, how is he with the kids? They have nothing that I can legally use against the father. So the system doesn't work like that. You can't just have sole custody because you want it.
Well, back in the day, though, too, I mean, if you think about it, there was loose laws that really protected women and children. Now, this might date myself and, make you a little younger in this conversation. But, I mean, that's the way the laws were. I mean, it was really, I don't want to say against men, but they had a tougher time because they looked at the mother being the nurturer. They're the ones that were, raising the children in a sense of what the Cleaver times, I guess, maybe. So I can see there was a shift. I know because I went through that myself through a divorce. And there was a shift of realizing that really it's 50-50 when it comes down to it.
What do you think about, Mexico was trying to pass a law that you automatically expire after 3 years or 5 years. You get married and then it expires.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
what
in Mexico, what I'm talking about...
It's to prevent divorce. And actually, we've been talking to Anthony Suarez because me and him had a discussion with
about that. Yeah. I heard it on television. I heard it on CNN about 4 months ago. That Mexico, there were these people in the Mexican Senate or whatever, the House, and they were trying to pass a law to avoid all of this divorce stuff. They were trying to pass a law in Mexico that when you get married, your marriage license expires. It's not a forever license.
If you want to keep going, you can renew it.
I don't think that's a bad idea because I think it's a great idea because then you go through counseling, you make sure that we're all being civil and good to each other and no cheating with credit cards, and I think that's a great idea.
Who cheats with credit cards? What are you talking about?
It's with cash only.
I thought you cheat with an opposite
cash
person.
Only. Too funny. But I'm actually in the foreclosure world, so I can only imagine seeing families that are being separated because of our economic times and losing their homes and that type of thing. I know you don't know that much about me, but have you seen in your practice a lot of people coming in because of loss of jobs and their homes being in foreclosure? Have you seen kind of a spike in that?
As a result of the economic situation?
Well, yes, and actually it's interesting that you bring that because that's the biggest, besides the children, that's the next biggest topic. When we go to mediation, that's what takes the longest, the houses, when there's property involved. Because before in divorces, and I remember when I got divorced, it's like, okay, let's sell the house and let's split the equity. Yeah. Well, now you can't.
Sell house.
There's no equity.
Everybody's upside down. Right.
Yeah. So it's like you can't just sell the house. But not only that, the problem is, for example, if you two are in the mortgage, a marital settlement agreement, and this is what happens when people don't have attorneys, and that's when if you don't hire an attorney to fill out the paperwork, fine, but do not go to mediation by yourself,
right?
Because this is what happens, and you come to an attorney, and I have to fix this, and it's really hard.
It's hard to fix.
So what happens is you both are on the mortgage. The marital settlement agreement says you can have, the wife can have the house, but she's going to make payments on it. Okay, 2 years from now, wife can't make payments on it. Who's on the mortgage?
Both.
Both of you on the mortgage.
That's right.
The bank is going to proceed after both of you.
That's right.
You're going to take that. You're going to take that final judgment to the bank, and the bank is going to look at you like whatever. They don't, you know, that
They
does
don't
not
care.
have jurisdiction over
Absolutely.
that. But it's only not only with the houses, it's also with cars.
Sure.
Because my father owns a car dealership, and I remember people going to them with divorces and saying, "You sent me a late notice, but my wife was supposed to be making the payments. I want off the car." Of course, the finance company is going to want two people responsible.
Right.
You know.
Well, and then the flip side of that, I'm going to tell you, there are some attorneys out there that don't give good information because they say, well, I'm just going to quit claim the spouse over. Well, I have to reprogram them and explain to them that has nothing to do with the mortgage. The quit claim is one thing, the mortgage is something else. And it really surprises people because there are attorneys that lead them to believe in their divorce decree that they're going to be solely responsible, and that's not true. Because if that person does go into default, you're absolutely correct. They are both responsible for that mortgage. So it's interesting that it kind of goes that way, where people believe that they don't have that responsibility anymore. So I just had that in my office today.
Do you mostly represent men or women? What do you gravitate to? What, I mean, because obviously you're a woman, so I would think that more women would go to you for the sympathy and the connection, where men would go to a male lawyer. Is that true, or is that?
Actually, I have both. At first, when I first started, it was men, and now it's women. But I think the women choose more of who they trust. Men go by, I guess they go by credentials or whatever, what they heard with another person. But women go by they trust. So, for example, if somebody retains me and I do a good job for them, they're going to refer me to a friend, which is what's supposed to happen anyway to begin with. So I think women, instead of just looking at a picture, they want to be able to trust that person.
Absolutely.
Where men want more, can you get the job done? And women do too, but they need to trust you as well. And women want to be able to speak more about the issues in between.
Well, because we're emotional, and that's what happens.
And I have to be able to listen too.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, nice. He was terrible in bed. That's why we're divorcing.
Well, that could happen.
Well, you know what?
How many people get sued for that? You know.
Well, I don't know. That can only
I'm
come
asking
from
a
Lolita.
question. Does that ever happen? Is
I'm
that-
sure.
Is that
No,
part of
that
the thing
happens.
that, you
That
know-
happens all the time. They want to tell me about all the cheating, but that's what I was making a joke. But I mean, it's
So-
serious. But the emotional part, I need to get that out of the way because at the end of the night, I mean, at the end of the day,
No pun intended.
I need to get to the legal issues, which is what are we going to do with the children? What are you going to do? Equitable distribution. How are we going to divide the assets and liabilities? Is there any pension plans? Is there any IRAs? Is there any properties? That's what I'm interested. Because in the state of Florida, it's the basis to get a divorce. It's a marriage has to be irretrievably broken. Where in other states, which I'm not licensed, you might have to have a reason, such as cheating. Not in the state of Florida. When cheating comes in, that's where the credit card come in. When cheating comes in is, for example, let's say you want alimony and the man says he doesn't have the ability. Well, you look at his bank accounts and he's paying the rent for his mistress, or he's going out and spending money. So therefore, he has the ability. He doesn't have the argument that he doesn't have the ability. That's where the cheating comes in.
Well, look, we just ran out of time, Marivette. So let me talk about the license plate. And this is Marivette Gonzalez. She is one of the top family lawyers in Central Florida. If you have an issue that has to do with family, divorce, custody, please call Marivette, and her phone number is 407-440-5050. Don't forget the Hispanic Achiever license plate at your DMV offices. Be a proud Hispanic. Put this plate on your car. We will see you next week. This is Danny Ramos. And don't forget, Channel 49, Bright House Cable, 9:30 p.m. every Tuesday. We'll see you next week.